Hi everyone, I'm James and this is my Spitfire. In today's video I'm going to be taking out the transmission so I can sort out the oil leaks and the clutch fork pin that is falling out. Okay, here we go. So to get the transmission out, we've got a few things to do to prepare because the Spitfire is quite handy in that you can actually pull the transmission out the top with the transmission tunnel removed. The whole thing's designed so you can actually slide it backwards and out underneath the dash. But to do that we'll be taking out the steering wheel and the parcel shelf beside the steering wheel to give us plenty of clearance. Also, as part of this, I've already disconnected the battery, so no loose wires short out because there are plenty of them at the moment. Okay, while we get everything else ready, I'll drain the oil. So there's a drain bolt for the transmission in the middle section of the transmission at the bottom here. It's a 7/16 plug, square drive plug, which is very stuck. Right. Oh, you need something a little heavier duty. See how much oil is actually in here. Oh, there's oil. It is very black. Okay, while that drains, we'll go have a look at everything else. Okay, so let's clear some room. First thing, this seat is already unbolted. Just take it out carefully not to lose the runners. Okay, to get the steering wheel off, we'll take off this surround. In my case, that's just stuck on with heavy duty double-sided tape. Pop the horn out and that gives us access to the steering wheel nut. I highly recommend a rattle gun to get this off. Oops. First pull out the wiper contactor. There we go. And just leave that on a little bit so that we don't end up with a steering wheel in our face. Right. I think that is loose. Take the nut the rest of the way off. Go. Pull that out. Oh, put that aside. Alright, now to remove the parcel shelf. I'm not sure how original any of this is, so your results may vary. And the trip reset is also housed, mounted in this parcel shelf in my case. Out. Goes in there. Okay, so these are 5/16 bolts, so a 1/2 inch socket or two. It was about now that I realised that the damage the car has in the front has pushed everything backwards into the propped shaft, so what I ended up doing was actually unbolting the prop shaft at the back as well. Once I'd done that with a bit of jiggling around, I was able to drop the back of the prop shaft and remove the front from the transmission. I'll be redoing all the wiring to date. Okay, next up we want to pull out the starter motor. Disconnect the lead from the solenoid. The terminal on the starter motor is a bit loose, so I'm disconnecting this end so I can have a look at it on the bench. So the starter is in about the condition I expected for the age and general lack of care on the vehicle. Teeth are a bit worn, but everything's moving freely, so that's alright. I haven't had any problems with it, so I just need to sort out whether that is normal. Before we get transmission out, let's have a look at the oil. Looks like there's some fresh oil in here and a bit of sludge as well. So that sort of goes with what I'm expecting, as in it keeps getting topped up because it leaks, but it hasn't really been serviced. There's a little bit of gold in there. I don't mean the yellow pan. So I'd say there's a fair amount of grinding on the synchros, which are brass. But no chunks or anything like that. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is make up a bit of a plinth to go under the engine and up under the gearbox, so that can sit there and hold everything up while I undo the bolts and act as a bit of a shelf for me to pull the transmission out on. And hopefully it should also help when I put it back in to allow me to line everything up easily. That's a bit better. Alright, let's put those together. Okay, let's make sure that fits. Yeah, that'll be fine. That was certainly not torqued up. Right, now before I get serious, let's double check we've done everything we need to. So, the transmission is held up on the jack, and clutch, the hydraulics are disconnected, battery's disconnected, all the wiring is clear. Starter motor's out. Now we just have a whole ton of bolts to undo. We'll see how I go doing that with the impact gun. With the transmission out, we can have a look at the clutch. We can see that this particularly unusual looking clutch is actually the Mark 1/Herald 1200 clutch. So that makes sense because this engine isn't a standard Spitfire one, it's actually a 1200 high compression engine. More or less exactly the same, but obviously has the original clutch type in it. Okay, let's have a look at the transmission. So the first thing I noted, some good news that the interior of the bell housing is all dry. There's just a little bit of oil around the bottom, so I suspect that's just the rear main seal of the engine. I've got one of those to replace that. Next thing, the clutch fork pin, which goes in here, and there's this pivot here. That, rather disturbingly, has weld bunging up the top of the hole. So I guess at some point in its life this bell housing has been used on a vehicle that has it orientated the other way up. and I've pulled that pin out. It was barely holding in there, so I need to sort that out. I did have a quick look at this previous, and I've just tapped that weld with a chisel and it has broken free, so hopefully I'll be able to just push all that out and have a decent hole to put the new pin in. Otherwise, transmission's looking a bit dirty, so I don't think anything's majorly bad with leaks, but as a precaution I'm going to go around and redo all the gaskets. So there's 4 of them, the one from the gear stick to the shifter module, and then there's one from the shifter module down to the main gearbox. There's one from the bell housing to the main gearbox, and there's one from the main gearbox through to the extension. So I'll do all 4 of those. There's a bit of a leak coming from the speedo unit, so I'll need to do the O-ring in that. The rear seal, which is at the back of the extension, doesn't look too bad, but I've got a new one anyway, so I'll do that. And the clutch slave cylinder has a rather weird bolt arrangement on it, so at some point that needs sorting out. And also, if we have a look in the front of the slave cylinder, you can just get in there, you can just see it behind the fork. There is no bung on the front of that, so that needs doing as well. I think that's most things. Oh yes, the gear stick is quite loose, so that'll just be a simple job of adding some washers in there to make that a bit tighter. And I think that's most of it. So that'll do for this video. I'll pick up the repairs in the next video. Please like, comment and subscribe. Remember that subscribing on YouTube's free, and I'll see you next time. I'm James, and this is my Spitfire restoration project. Have a good day. See you all later.